Hey guys, I'm Mihir Joshi. Welcome once again to the MJ Show. And today I have somebody really special with me. We landed up meeting I'd say about 6 years ago in 2015, when the gentleman that I have as my guest today just won a Grammy Award. It doesn't get any bigger than that in the world of music. And before I tell you anything more, I want to tell you all that this is, again, a very special Artists for a Cause edition of the MJ Show. We are being streamed on Skillbox. You're listening to us on Fever FM. So just go to skillboxes.com, open your hearts, open your wallets, contribute, because every rupee that you're giving is going to be going for a good cause. It's going to go to Umeed Project and Divine Touch. So please make sure, if you love what you're listening to, you contribute and help this phenomenal cause that we are all supporting through Artists for a Cause. Let me welcome on today's episode of the MJ Show, the absolutely fantastic Ricky Cage. Ricky, welcome back to the MJ Show, my friend.
Hey, Mihir, so good to be back on your show.
Man, I just realized, when I just said that in the introduction, we actually met about 6 years ago in 2015. You'd come back from the Grammy Awards, and I think there was some music awards that were happening, and we bumped into each other, and we've been talking ever since. And it's perfect that I'm remembering that, because what you're doing right now is kind of a follow-up to the album that got you your first Grammy Award back in 2015. So tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing right now.
So as you correctly mentioned, this is a follow-up to the Grammy-winning album Winds of Samsara. This is a new album called Divine Tides. So for the last few years, for the last 5 years, I've been working on a follow-up, and I've just been putting aside a couple of ideas and a couple of tunes that that I feel strongly about. And but unfortunately, I'd not even started recording because of my really, really intense traveling and touring schedule. Like, for example, in 2019, I did 70 concerts in 13 countries.
Wow.
So there was basically no time for me to record. But, with the lockdown in 2020 last year, that sort of provided an opportunity for me to actually sit down in a studio and actually work on this particular album. Yeah. And I had collaborated with Stewart Copeland about in 2016 on a single song. It was sort of like a song for a benefit album. And so, I mustered up the courage and asked him again that, would you like to collaborate on a whole album together with me? And he immediately said yes. So that is the album.
So, for everybody listening in right now, Ricky just very, very chilled out way, in a very low key way, just told you all that in 2016, he worked with Stewart Copeland and asked him to work on this album again. And this album is actually a collaboration with Stewart Copeland. For all of you, and this is, I don't blame any of you, but this is what happens when you think about a band. You always think about the singer, and very often the names of the drummer and the bass player and whatever else, all the other musicians kind of slip out of people's minds. But I think Stewart Copeland is such an iconic name that I think a lot of you may have heard of him. And for the few of you who do not know who he is the drummer of the legendary band The Police, of course, Sting's earlier band, which had so many incredible hits. And Stewart Copeland in the world of drummers is a legend. Like, he's in 3 Hall of Fames right now, Ricky? Did I get that right? I saw your little promo video that you put up to promote the album. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's in some one Drummers Hall of Fame, and then one Modern Drummers Hall of Fame. Man, that's really, really massive.
Yeah, and true. And what the other thing about the band, The Police, is that Stewart Copeland is the person who actually founded the band, and he's the one who auditioned and brought Sting into the band.
How cool.
So that is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. So tell me, how did this come about, man? How did, of course, like you said, in 2016, you already worked on a song with him. But this album is like a full, I think it's an 8-track album that you're going to be putting out starting on the 7th of July. That's when the first song is going to drop. And then you're going to be releasing a song and a video every week after that? How is it going to go? Okay.
Yeah. So as I'd mentioned, in 2016, I had collaborated with Stewart on it was a single song, and I did not get to interact with him much because I just sent him the tracks, and he recorded the drums and he sent it back, and he's got a really, really amazing and well-equipped home studio.
Yeah.
But this time I really got to work with him very, very closely because it was on a whole album, and it was in a genre of music that he's not very known for, which is Indian fusion music. So, so it was a great opportunity for him to pull out all those instruments, that he would normally not use for recordings, and he actually used all those very world music sounding instruments. So it was quite an experience to interact with him on a very, very close level, and and talk to him almost every day and record with him. So that was quite amazing. And of course, as the album itself, the songs are going to be releasing every 2 weeks, the videos, and that's how we're going to give space for each song, because we believe in
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You know what? Speaking of Stewart Copeland, unfortunately, when we were recording, and you guys know we've recorded this, when we were recording it, we could not get him on the call. He's a super busy man, but I told Ricky, like, listen, man, if you're going to talk about an album where you've got the great Stewart Copeland, we got to listen. We got to hear from him just a little bit at least. So I had a couple of questions which I asked Stewart, and here are his answers. So first up, Stewart, welcome to the MJ Show, albeit through a recording. I want to ask you a little bit about the album. What do you think about working on an album like this?
Divine Tides is a very strange collection of very traditional elements. The elements that Ricky Kedge has put together are all deeply steeped in tradition and like classical musical language. But the way he's pieced them together is utterly unique. And the emotional impact of these mixes of culture is very profound.
Stewart, what did you think about working with Ricky on this album?
Ricky sent me some tracks. And my first thought was, this is already extremely cool. So working with these elements that Ricky assembled kind of came very natural. But more than that, it was that I haven't had an opportunity to play with these elements because I was in a rock band and I'm writing music for classical orchestra. But to play with these ethnic elements, these different cultural tides, as it were, is very inspiring and very moving. And besides, I got to mic up all my cool stuff.
So, Ricky, you did talk about this incredible array of instruments, and we just heard Stewart talking about miking all of his fantastic equipment up. What all can we expect from him? Because evidently, as I can make out, he's really excited about it. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to put drums together on this, and it's that's the end of my work. How did it feel working with somebody with that kind of history and that kind of respect that he's got from the entire world in what he does?
So yeah, it was an incredible opportunity to work with him because he not only played the drums and various multiple percussion instruments on every song, but he also co-wrote the songs with me. So each song is a piece of him and a piece of me.
That's amazing.
Very few people know about Stewart that beyond the rock drumming that he did for the Police for many years and sold 75 million copies and won 5 Grammys. In addition to that, he's actually composed the score for 50 Hollywood movies. So, for example, he's composed a score for the Oscar-winning movie Wall Street, the film with Michael Douglas, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. He's worked with Oliver Stone many times. So you will get to hear that piece of him. And in addition to that, he's also composed a whole lot of music for orchestras and operas. So basically, you'll hear that side of him, like a very layered approach and a very score kind of an approach. So all of that stuff is within this album.
Man, I can't wait to hear the entire album. I know the first song drops on the 7th of July. For everybody watching right now, I'm sure you guys all know how to get your music. Figure out whatever platform you're listening to your music on. Ricky, is it also going to be on your YouTube channel? Are you going to be putting up the videos on the YouTube?
It'll be on Stewart's YouTube channel, and it will be on another YouTube channel. That is the Lahari Music YouTube channel.
There you go. So if you're watching this, the links will be in the description. If you're not watching it right now, if you're just listening to it on Fever FM, figure it out. Do that little extra homework. This is a man that you should be definitely proud of because one of the very few artists from our country who's won a Grammy Award. And this is his phenomenal sort of follow-up to Winds of Samsara. Make sure you find out how you can listen to the album and go ahead and get those tracks and listen to them. And when the entire album is out, listen to it all over again. Listen to the entire album, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs back to back, because that's how I love listening to my music. It's great to listen to singles because that way you get to fall in love with them. And he's given you 2 weeks to fall in love with each song. But make sure that once those 8 weeks are done, you listen to the entire album back to back as well. Ricky, let's talk a little bit about the album. What are the themes in the album? What are the songs about? Tell us a little bit about it.
So, as you know, and as we had spoken on your previous show, the only kind of music that I've been making for the last few years is about the environment, sustainability, and positive social impact. So I pretty much stopped doing, the regular, pop songs and things like that, because I felt that, that there are few things that I feel very strongly about, and my art needs to define that. So Beautiful. This album is also about that. This album is a celebration of our natural world. And of course, a missive to tell people that, that we need to protect our natural world for our own survival. And in addition to that, there are very strong themes about the resilience of the human spirit and the human species itself, given the unprecedented times that we are in right now. So there is an overarching theme of that, of the resilience of our species.
It's beautiful. All your music that you've made has been genuinely meaningful, not just for you, but even for the people who have seen it. I mean, I've seen videos of your live performances. I can see that people get invested into the performance when they are watching it. Speaking of your live performances, and you've done so many, like you said, over the last few years after Winds of Samsara. Tell me about an interesting, there are such great memories that get attached to your performances, right? I mean, when you're traveling the world, you performed in so many countries. Tell me a specific, memory that stands out in your mind from all these amazing live shows that you've done in some phenomenal places.
So, it's so funny that when you mentioned live performances, I was thinking about it happening like maybe a couple of decades back. It's so crazy because for the last 1.5 years I've just been in one city, and it's been quite crazy. But nevertheless, a live performance that was very close to my heart is one that I did actually for the WHO in 2018 at the UN headquarters in Geneva.
Nice.
So what happened was that Dr. Tedros and the WHO, they were doing this huge campaign, which was known as the Breathe Life campaign, where what they wanted to do is that they wanted to change the narrative of air pollution from being an environmental problem to being a health problem, because they felt that if it is promoted as being a health problem, then people will take more care to prevent air pollution, because people will feel that, okay, I should not get bronchitis, or my children should not get bronchitis or lung cancer. So they'll probably have more of a responsibility towards reducing the impacts of air pollution. So I performed at the opening of this particular campaign at the UN headquarters in Geneva, and my audience was world leaders from over 100 countries. And it was amazing because the WHO told me that, you've got to inspire all these world leaders to give us commitments. And I think it's the only time, or maybe the first or only time, that this has happened, where we had world leaders standing up, clapping their hands, dancing along with us, singing along with us. It was, what an amazing scene it was for the musicians to watch.
That's phenomenal, man. That's the kind of stuff that as a musician, when you start making music, that's the kind of stuff that you dream about. The fact that your music not only is something that people will love, but can actually make a difference. It'll be something that can cause a change. And it's phenomenal that you've been able to do that with your music. So for the next few weeks, I can say you are going to be caught up with releasing your songs, your videos. I believe you've got 8 music videos that you've planned out for the 8 tracks, right? So you've got your videos lined up, you've got your song releases lined up, but knowing you, I'm sure you've already thought beyond this. What else is lined up for this year? Have you got something that you have in mind that people should know about?
Actually, I'm going to be spending, as you said, the next 3 months, I'm going to be spending just promoting this album, because I believe that that if you've worked so hard on the music and on creating the music, then it's very, very important that you try every single way to ensure that, people listen to it. And if it was regular times, like, pre-COVID times, then it would have been very simple, because I would have been, traveling around the world promoting it and touring the album, and Stewart and me would have been, doing a whole lot of concerts. But now we've lost out on that opportunity where we cannot perform the album live. We cannot tour with it. We cannot do interviews in various for example, I cannot be sitting down with you and doing an interview you in person. So that's why I just have to work really, really hard to promote this album. And that's what I'm going to be dedicating my time towards.
That's fantastic. For everybody watching, I'm going to say this once again, ladies and gents, and I say this about every artist who comes on the MJ show. One of your responsibilities as fans of the music is to ensure that that music reaches as many people as possible. If you like a song, don't just keep it to yourself. It's great to have a song which you say, hey, this is my song and it's in my heart, but just take it out of your heart and share it with everybody. And now with social media and WhatsApp and everything, the moment you see a good song, the moment you hear a good song, just spread it like wildfire, because that's the one way you can genuinely show an artist that you love him, that you love his music, and you are supporting him. Because anyway, everything is free these days, right? You've got your streaming apps, you've got YouTube, you're listening to music for free, you're watching it for free. The one thing that you can do now to support your favorite artist is share their music. So once his music is out, please share it. Please talk about the stories that you hear. Share this video so that more people know more about the songs. Ricky, why don't you take maybe one song, maybe the first song itself that's coming, and break it down a little bit for us. Tell us a little bit about the song, the story behind it, because I know, like you said, you've got messages in each of your songs. So what's the first song about? And tell us what is it called?
So thank you so much for saying all of that, Mihir, because I think that is the best way to support artists, by just listening to their music. So Thank you so much, and it means a lot. Now, so the first song is a song called Himalayas, and it's basically a tribute to the massive Himalayan range, which indirectly or directly is responsible for the lives of over 2 billion people all over the world, or even more than that. I would say probably the entire planet is actually dependent on those amazing mountain ranges. So there's a little bit of a story behind that, because I'd actually composed that piece of music a while back, the main theme, but I'd never completed the song for the reasons that I mentioned to you. Then in 2019, in July, I'd gotten an opportunity to perform at Leh for the Indian Army. So the General, so the Army General had invited my band and me to give a 2-hour exclusive performance for 10,000 Army soldiers. So we had to go there 5 days in advance, because we had to acclimatize to the weather, and we had to acclimatize to the altitude.
Yeah,
it was at about 12,000 feet, and our entire arena was surrounded by mountains, and my audience was 10,000 Army soldiers in uniform. So it was one of the greatest experiences I could ever imagine.
Man, I've got goosebumps thinking about that for you. I mean, these are like, what do you call shared joy right now? Because I can just imagine, as an artist, as a singer, to be singing for 10,000 people with the mountains around you. Good Lord, man, it's just not stopping. It's unbelievable. But please continue. Forget my goosebumps.
So that was amazing. So the thing is that for the 5 days that we were acclimatizing, we had an opportunity to actually film a music video over there.
Oh, wow.
So we took a filming crew along with us to film the concert. So they ended up filming this particular music video. And so then when Stewart came into the album, that is when we finally recorded the music, and we co-wrote the music. And then we filmed Stewart in Los Angeles, but the rest of us were in the Himalayas. So that's basically the video, and it's a stunning video.
Man, I can't wait to see it. By the way, just for people who may not understand how long it takes to put an album together, how long has this process been, working with Stewart, recording, going back and forth, coming to a point where two of you as artists are satisfied and say, okay, now it's done, now we're ready to put the song out?
So I'm really happy that a lot of the compositional ideas that I came up with came up organically, because I was not sitting down and trying to make an album. I was just putting through ideas. So that came in from all the way from 2015 to about 2019. So it was about 4 or 5 years of just coming up with ideas and putting them down. And then Stewart and we worked together for about 6 or 7 months in a very concentrated way. Just recording and putting together the music videos and things like that. So Stewart and me, maybe about 6-7 months, and before that, maybe about 4 or 5 years of me just putting together ideas.
That's astounding, man. That's genuinely phenomenal. And I can't wait to hear it. Considering he's got 5 Grammy Awards and you've got 1, this could be a chance for you to take it up to 2 and 6 over there. So, I want to wish you all the very best. You've set a high bar for yourself. I haven't. And I hope you go way past that bar that you've set for yourself. And this becomes a phenomenal, monumental album in your life and your journey. So I want to wish you all the very best. Like I said, and I want to tell everybody watching right now, the first track, Himalayas, comes out on the 7th of July. Make sure you guys check it out. Ricky, before we wrap up for today, do you want to tell your fans, the people who love your music, a little bit about, like I said, I told you we are using this platform today. Apart from telling people about your music, we are also trying to raise funds because our country is still going through a difficult time. Maybe the cities are opening up right now, relatively opening up, but there are still a lot of people still suffering. And Umeed Project and Divine Touch are doing a great job in supporting a ton of families all across the country. And Skillbox and Fever FM together are helping raise money for these two NGOs. So anything you want to tell your fans?
Of course, Mihir, you're doing wonderful work by supporting these causes and associating with these causes, because they're really, really important right now. Nobody, as I said many times, nobody's safe unless everybody is safe. So we need to ensure that, that we as human beings, normally we only protect people who we love and people who are around us. That is basically our circle. That's all that we care about. But here we need to widen our circle, and we need to even go as far as thinking beyond borders and thinking beyond, beyond demographics and things like that. And we need to ensure that every single person is safe. So I'm really, really happy that this particular show is helping the Umeed Project and Divine Touch. And I think these two charities require our help and require our support, especially financially. So I hope that all our viewers and listeners help these two projects as much as possible.
That's awesome. And, on that note, that's pretty much all the time we have for this episode of the MJ Show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That is the fabulous Ricky Cage. My name is Mihir Joshi, and we'll see you soon. Hey, I'm Mihir Joshi, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so that you get a notification every time a new video goes up. Hit the like button as well. Leave a comment here for my guests and for me, and share it with absolutely everybody. We will really appreciate it. Make it happen.